Peace to the 12. Y'all see the title, man. The seed determines the family tree, right? The seed determines this family tree. And in this video, I'm going to touch on a lot of things. I'm going to touch on the fact that it's a patrilineal line according to the scriptures. I'll get that a little bit later in a minute. But this lesson was actually inspired by something I've touched on before, which is the fact that when you read about King David, there's two instances when King David asks someone what's their nationality, right? Which comes to show that he asked them despite on whatever they look like. And I'll get into that really quickly in a minute. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But the point of this is, once again, the seed determines the family tree. And you might see somebody out there that actually is an Israelite that might look like another nation. That's the point of this video. And I'm going to edify people in this video, hopefully. So, like I said, King David did not assume someone's identity based on what they outwardly look like. Let's get that example in 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 7 is what I want. But let's just get the whole thing for context. So this is 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days at Ziklag. It came even to pass on the third day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter, I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, That the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and deceased. And Saul and Jonathan his son are deceased also. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be deceased? And the young man told him, said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw and called unto me, and I answered him, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite." Right? So keep this in mind in a minute, because verse 13 is going to let you know that David's going to ask him his nationality again. Anyway, he said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live. After that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and I brought them hither unto my Lord. So this Amalekite put Saul out of his misery, so to speak, right? Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord yahawah and the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. Now check this out. Verse 13. And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. So David asked him what was his nationality. So we don't know what this guy looked like. But regardless, David still asked him what was his nationality. He said he was an Amalekite, the son of a stranger, which we'll get into other verses in a minute. This is in David said unto him, How hast thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand and destroy the Lord Yahweh's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died. Right? And David said unto him, Thy blood be upon thy head, for thy mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. And David lamented with his lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. So King David put that man to rest for what he did to Saul. Right? But also for touching the Lord as anointed. But look, David said what? Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. So David didn't just assume. He asked the man, and the man told him he was of Amalek. Now let's get other versions to go back to what I said earlier about the paternal line. When we go to the same thing, 2 Samuel 1 and 13, other versions, it says, I am the son of a foreigner, an Amalekite. Right? I am the son of a sojourner, I am the son of a foreigner, an Amalekite. Right? Now we go to other versions right here. It says, my father, this is the contemporary English version, my father is an Amalekite, but we live in Israel. So his father, like I told you guys, is paternal lineage. You are who your father is. Like the title states, the seed determines the family tree. And I will get into that in a minute, proving that. But once again, he says, I am an Amalekite, the son of a foreign man. I am the son of a proselyte. An Amalekite, I am the son of a man. I am the son of a man, an Amalek. So once again, his father was of Amalek, so therefore he was of Amalek. Let's get another example, though, of King David asking somebody what their nationality was, despite whatever their appearance may have looked like. This is 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 10, which reads, "But David pursued he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook of Besor. And they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and gave him bread, and he did eat, and they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of cake of figs, and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. Now check this out. This is 1 Samuel 30 and 13. It says, "And David said unto him, To whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me, because 3 days agone I fell sick." So David once again asked, who are you, and who do you serve? And the man said, he's an Egyptian who was a servant to an Amalekite. So this is another example of David not just assuming what he was. He asked him, right? Let's get other versions of this. This is a New International Version. David asked him, "Who do you belong to? Where do you come from?" He said, "I am an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite." I am an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite. So this guy was an Egyptian, but notice David asked him what he was, right? So understand this. So he inquired of the matter, and understand this, that some looks can be deceiving, so we cannot just assume always, right? Like it tells you in 1 Samuel 16 and 7. "But the Lord Yahawah said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord Yahawah seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord Yahawah looketh on the heart." Right? And that's true. That's true. Person might look at this guy, oh, he's a Moabite. Dude might not actually be a Moabite, but he looked like one. You can't always go on the outward appearance, but the Lord Yahawah looketh on the heart. I remember I did a video probably like 2 years ago at this point. It probably was 2 years ago. It was these so-called Asian people, right? I think they were in the Philippines, and they actually acknowledged that they were Israelites, right? They knew the names Yahawah, Yahawashi. They were singing songs. They knew the scriptures. They say Yahawashi is coming to get us up out of here. These people look like straight up Filipino people, right? Or so-called Asians, right? But hey, they knew. And that's an example of our people being scattered abroad. So you can't always go off the outward appearance, right? But other versions of that, look not on the outward appearance, look on the outward appearance. Yeah. You know, that's real simple. Don't look at the outward appearance. Because the Most High can see what their spirit is like. And even more examples, right? Which this will make more sense when I get into the fact that lines are patrilineal. But you got Quincy Jones, his daughter Rashida Jones. She just looks like I guess you could say a tan Italian woman. This guy, I don't know his name. I think his name was Isaiah something. He's like he's a basketball player. His father's a so-called black man, but he just looks like a so-called white man. You got this chick who's a singer. Her name's Halsey. This is actually her father, her biological father, right? So they look like so-called white people, but their line goes back to a so-called black man, right? And another example would be the rapper Logic, and there's other examples y'all can throw in there. But yeah, that's the point. It also tells you that in John 7:24, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." Let's get other version of that. "Stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly." You can't just judge off the appearance, right? Look beneath the surface so you can judge correctly. Do not judge the outward appearance. Do not judge superficially and arrogantly. Stop judging by external standards. Judge by true standards. That's right. We'll get into that later, right? Like, for example, a lot of these people when you see them on the street, or if you watch a video or people are teaching, or even in the comment section, you can tell somebody's an Edomite real quick by how they coming, straight up, right? Even if they got like a Punisher avatar or some anime girl avatar, or their name is User, whatever the hell, you can already tell he's an Edomite by how he was coming. Super proud, super deceptive, right? They got that hatred for us. You can tell in the comment section. But anyway, let's go to Habakkuk 2 and 4. It tells you that his spirit is not upright in him. That's right. You can judge him just based off his spirit. This is Habakkuk 2 and 4. "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." So the soul of the Idumeans is not right, man. All right, and that tells you that again in Hebrews 12 and 16, where it says, "Lest there be any fornicator, or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. Right? And other versions of this, it will say, lest there be any one that's sexually immoral and godless and or secular, because profane means secular. And you can just look, who's the people that are the most secular? Yeah, the Edomites. Who are the people that are most sexually immoral? The Edomites. Who are the people that push the most for the rainbow community? Yeah, the Edomites. Right? These are just simple facts that I've done videos on, and I'm going to do videos on it in future. Right? Who's the most atheist people on the planet? Right? The so-called, the Edomites. And then people go, well, what about Japan? Yeah, Japan became super secular after World War II when they lost to the Edomites. Oh, what about China? China is communist. Communism was created by Karl Marx, another Edomite. Really an Amalekite, if we want to be super specific. But continuing on anyway. And like I said, the spirit is not upright in him. The spirit of Esau is one of profane and sexually immoral, just immoral in general, really. And Romans 8:16 tells us that the spirit bears witness that someone is an Israelite. Romans 8:16, and that is not talking about what these whack job Christians be like, oh, I'm spiritually Israelite now. No. I'm talking about the spirit of an Israelite, because you go back to the lineage of the Israelites, right, on your father's side. But anyway, Romans 8:16, the spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of God, right? And you can see the spirit of someone be like, yeah, that guy's probably a Jake. I mean, people do it all the time, right? Like Hosea 1:10 says, yet the number of the children of Israel should be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. Just like now, people thought they was just, thought they was just a native, thought they was just a nigga, thought they was just whatever, right? Then they'd be like, nah, brother, you're an Israelite. You find out you're a son of the living God, right? So that's the simple fact. And that same thing applies to people that might have looked like another nation. They might have thought they was just Chinese or whatever. Then they come to find out, wait a minute, I go back to the Israelites, whatever the case may be. So that being said, let's prove that the seed of the father determines the race according to the Bible. Right? First of all, let's debunk something real quick. In the Jewish community, in Orthodox Judaism and conservative Judaism, deeming people Jewish if their mother's Jewish, right? That's what they say. That is debunked. That is not in the Bible. The Bible is actually the opposite. So, in other words, in modern Judaism, so-called, they teach that if your mother's Jewish, you are also Jewish. That's why they say Drake is Jewish, because his mother's Jewish, right? And his father's a so-called black man. Well, this is debunked because the scriptures tell you that you are who your father is. You go to Numbers chapter 1, verse 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names for 20 years old and upward by their posts. So their houses were established based on their fathers. Like, guess what? If you're of descendants of Judah, you come from the man who was named Judah, right? If you're a descendant of Israel, you come from a man who was named Israel. If you're a descendant, go so on and so forth. I'll touch on that more in a minute. But let's get other versions of Numbers 1:18. English Standard Version, by the father's house, house of their fathers, father's house, father's households, father's households, their father's households, letting you know it's based off the father. It says that also in Ezra 2:59, where it says, and these were they which went up from Tel Malah, Tel Harsa, Cherub, Aden, and Immer, but they could not show their father's house and their seed whether they were of Israel. So back then we had chronicles, we had written records of lineages, right? And these people had just mentioned they could not show their father's house and their seed whether they are of Israel, so they couldn't prove that they were Israelites. Back then, and that was a big deal because they had records, man, right? You kind of see that in the movie Black Panther, the first one. I never saw the second one, but you kind of see that in the movie Black Panther when the character of Michael B. Jordan, where they didn't care what he said, they just thought he was an African American until he showed the bottom of his lip, the inside of the bottom of his lip, and then they knew he was Wakandan, right? Then they whole demeanor change. They was like, oh man, this is one of us, right? But anyway, Wisdom of Solomon 7:1 talks about he comes from the seed of man, right? I myself also am a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth, and in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood, of the seed of man, and the pleasure that came with sleep. right? So he said, of the seed of man he was fashioned in his mother's womb. The seed of man. It's kind of like an acorn, right? The acorn might fall in different types of soil, but it's going to come up an oak tree. You understand? Right? It's the same. It's in the same instance, but we'll get more into that. Let's get some examples of a so-called mixed children being considered Israelites based on their father. That's easy. You go to 1 Chronicles 2 and 3, where it says, the sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, which 3 were born unto him of the daughter of Shua, the Canaanitess, and the firstborn of Judah, was evil in the sight of the Lord Yahawah, and he slew him. So, Judah had sons with a Canaanite woman. A Canaanite is of another race. She is not an Israelite, right? But we still know that Shelah, someone he had with the Canaanitess, was still an Israelite. You get that in Numbers 26 and 20, where it says, and the sons of Judah after their families were of Shelah, the family of the Shelonites, of Pharez, the family of the Pharezites, of Zerah, the family of the Zarites. So, of the sons of Judah, Shelah was numbered among the sons of Judah, and he produced the Shelamites. Once again, Shelah comes from Canaanite, a Canaanitess woman. So, even though he had so-called mixed lineage, he was still an Israelite. Why? Because Judah, his father, was an Israelite. Let's get another example. 1 Chronicles 7 and 14. The sons of Manasseh, Ashriel, whom she bare, but this concubine, the Aramites, bare Machir, the father of Gilead. So, Manasseh had a son with an Aramite, right? But we know that Gilead produced the Gileadites, meaning he was still of Manasseh. Meaning he was still of the tribe of Manasseh. Numbers 26 and 29. Other sons of Manasseh, of Machir, the family of the Machirites. And Machir begat Gilead. Of Gilead came the family of the Gileadites. Right? And then, of course, we know the one I use all the time, which is Moses. Moses had a son with Zipporah. Right? Let's get Exodus 2 and 21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter, and she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. So Zipporah was a Midianite woman who produced Gershom, which was Moses' son, and Zipporah was once again of the Midianites, and yet Gershom was numbered among the sons of Levi. 1 Chronicles 6 and 16, the sons of Levi, Gershom, Kohath, and Merari. So, once again, even though he had a mixed lineage, Moses' son was still the sons of Levi, just like Gilead was still of Manasseh, just like how Shelah was still the sons of Judah. Right? Matter of fact, the Most High even tells Moses that he can make a great nation out of Moses himself. You read about that in Exodus 32 and 9. I did a video on that called The DNA of Moses where I expounded on that. But we'll go to Exodus 32 and 9. And the Lord Yahawah said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. And therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. So the Most High told Moses, I'm just about to squad wipe these people behind you, and out of thee I'll make a great nation. Now, he didn't end up doing that, but he let Moses know he could do that. Meaning what? Just from the seed of Moses, the Most High could make a great nation. Right? That's why it says, I will make of you a great nation. I will make of your descendants a great nation. This is other versions of Exodus 32 and 10. But I will make your descendants into a great nation. Then I will make you and your descendants into a great nation. So he could have done that through Moses if the Most High chose to. Why? Because it would have been out of Moses, which, once again, is through the loins of Moses, which would have been his seed line. Right. Even 2 sons of the 12 tribes. Oh, man, I can't spell. Let me fix that real quick. Even 2 sons of the 12 tribes of Israel were conceived through an Egyptian woman. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Ephraim and Manasseh, right? Who come out of Joseph. Remember, Joseph married an Egyptian woman. His sons were still counted as Israelites. Right? Let's prove that. Let's go to Genesis 41 and 45. It says, and Pharaoh called Joseph's name. This is Genesis 41 and 45. And Pharaoh called Joseph's names Zaphnath Paneah, and he gave him a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. So Joseph married a woman who was the daughter of a priest of On. He married an Egyptian woman. Now we go down here to Genesis 41 and 50. It says, and unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, he hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So through this Egyptian woman, you get Ephraim and Manasseh, which are numbered among the 12 tribes of Israel. Matter of fact, we read about that. Well, first of all, look, Asenath, that's an Egyptian name. She was an Egyptian woman, and she's the mother of Manasseh and Ephraim. Then you go to Genesis 48:3. Jacob still claimed Joseph's sons, which again he had with an Egyptian woman. That's Genesis 48:3. And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee forever, an everlasting possession. And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simon, they shall be mine. So he had those children with he had those two children with that Egyptian woman, and Jacob set the record straight that Ephraim and Manasseh are still counted just as Reuben and Simon are counted, meaning they are still Israelites. Matter of fact, we even had a so-called mixed race king, right, of mixed lineage. You read about that through Rehoboam, who was the son of Solomon, 1 Kings 4:21, for example. And Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord Yahawah did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah and Ammonitis. So Rehoboam was the son of Solomon, and his mother was an Ammonite, right? And Ammonitis simply means the mother of Rehoboam, an Ammonite, the woman of the Ammonites, right? And we know that he was a king. We know that his mother was an Ammonite. Well, guess what? We know that Rehoboam was still considered an Israelite because according to the law, in order to be king, you have to be an Israelite by law. You read about that in Deuteronomy 17:14. Now, let's go back. It said Rehoboam reigned in Judah. He was the king, right? Well, according to Deuteronomy 17:14, in order to be king, you have to be an Israelite, meaning Rehoboam was an Israelite despite his mother being an Ammonite. Let's go to Deuteronomy 17:14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord Yahawah thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are round about me, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord Yahawah thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. So all those people that are like, oh man, Mamzer's this, Mamzer's that, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? I went over this in another video, but the Mamzer is talking about an incestuous relationship. And the reason I know that is because Rehoboam was set king over Israel. His mother was an Ammonite. And the scriptures tell you what, a Moabite and an Ammonite will never enter into the congregation, right? So that means that Rehoboam was not considered an Ammonite, though his mother was an Ammonite, because he was a king of Israel. And by law, you're not allowed to set someone over you that is of another nation, right? And this same rule applies to the other nations as well. Look at Esau, for example. We go to Genesis 36:2. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholabama, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, right? So Esau had children with Canaanite, a Hittite, Hivite, right? And yet they were still Edomites. That's through Esau, you get what? You get Eliphaz, you get Teman, you get Amalek, right? So that's that as well. It also happened in you also read about it in 1 Kings 11:14. And the Lord Yahweh stirred up an adversary on Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom, right? And then you read in 19, 1 Kings 11:19, that Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes the queen. So Esau, the Edomite, he had a son with Pharaoh's wife's sister, right? So in other words, Esau had a child with an Egyptian, but this child was still an Edomite. So there's that on that. And every nation/race in the Bible was named after a man that became a father of a tribe. Like I said before, it's real simple. The idea that it's a matrilineal lineage that they practice in modern Judaism is ridiculous, because literally every nation that is currently alive today descends after a man. They get their name from a man, right? And by the way, the word nation just means a race of people, right? Race of people, tribe, literally. A race of people. That's what nation really means. So when we go to this table of nations, right? You got Edom, Elam, Asher, Aram, Ishmael, Moab, Ammon, Cush, Mizraim, Phut, Canaan, Gomer, Magog, Javan, Ashkenaz, Tarshish, Kittim, right? Of course, you got the 12 tribes of Israel. These are all, they all come from a man. They get their name from a man. An Edomite comes from Esau, whose name was Edom, or was named Edom as well. You got Elam, and Elamite goes from Elam, another man, all the way down. An Ishmaelite, meaning you're a descendant of Ishmael, another man. Same thing, we go to the Hamites, the Shemitic people, the Japhites. If you're a Shemite, guess what? You descend from Shem, who was a man. If you're a Hamite, you descend from Ham, who was a man. If you're a Japhite, you descend from Japheth, who was a man. Real simple. And the main reason why I'm bringing this up is because the Israelites are scattered in all countries, and some of us look like the other nations phenotype-wise. And we are scattered through all the countries. That's why James, when he wrote his letter, he said to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Let's get James 1:1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahawashi Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Right? So our people are scattered abroad, and some of our people look like other nations. That's why I'm really doing this video. I've actually had Israelite foreigners in my video. I had a so-called white man. This was years ago. So-called white man came in there, and he was talking to me, and I told him, well, it could be possible that your lineage goes back to the Israelites, and he told me, he ended up telling me that that was correct. And he always knew that he felt different than the other people, and he always knew that he wasn't an Edomite, and I'm paraphrasing. This was years ago in my conversation. I think it was the video I did called We Were Gentiles, or We Were Heathen. It was one of those videos, right? Anyway, Ezekiel 11:16. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahawah, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered thee among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahawah, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. So our people are scattered everywhere, and they can look like anyone, right? Right. Matter of fact, in Isaiah 11, it gives specific lands that some of our people are at. Isaiah 11:11. This shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. So we got our people in Assyria, Egypt, India, Ethiopia, so on and so forth, man. Right? So on and so forth. Right? You can also read about, matter of fact, I'll give you a bonus too. You can also read about the woman who had a child with an Egyptian, and that child was not considered an Israelite. Right? Because why? His father was an Egyptian, therefore he would be an Egyptian. Read about that in Leviticus 24:10. Let's do that little bonus. And the son of the Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, see, his father was Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel, and his son, and this son of the Israelitish woman, and the men of Israel strove together in the camp, meaning they had a fight. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord Yahawah and cursed, and they brought him unto Moses, and his mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan. So this woman was a Danite. She had a child with an Israelite. Or excuse me, she had a child with an Egyptian. Israelite mother, Egyptian father. Right? They never notice they never named this kid an Israelite because he wasn't one. An Israelite mother, Egyptian father, Israelites, woman's son whose father was an Egyptian, strove with an actual Israelite. You know, so on and so forth. So that's just that, letting you know once again that you are your father. So let's go back to the beginning. That pretty much sums up this lesson. The seed determines the family tree. Lord willing, that was a edifying lesson. And with that, I say peace to the 12. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Most High, whose name is Yahawah, in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahawashi. Yahawah is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world commonly calls God. Yahawashi is the true name of the Savior of the nation of Israel, who the world commonly calls Jesus Christ. I want to say Shalom, which means peace. To you people that have been listening, learning, you brothers doing this work, truth, sincerity, and to you elders that's been doing this thing before me. To y'all, I say Shalom. I'm going to go ahead and get up on out of here. I'm out. Peace. Shalom.